This is the Power Platform. This is the CRM Audio Power Platform Daily Brief. What you need to know today about the Power Platform in 10 minutes or less. Hello, this is Joel Lindstrom, and I have received some feedback from one of our listeners, Brad, in Atlanta. And hello, Brad, driving your kids to school today. Brad mentioned that he would like to have a daily summary of what he needs to know, kind of like a news summary. And so I thought we'd give it a shot. May not be every day, but it's something we can do probably several times a week at least, because there's a lot of news about the Power Platform. First off, I want to start with some news about CRM Audio. We don't often talk about internal stuff here, but we're making some changes here. You may have seen, if you've been in iTunes or Spotify or Google Play, some other podcasts popping up. We've traditionally been all in this one feed. And so what we've heard from people is, I wish I could subscribe to individual series. And so we've heard you, and we're working hard to set that up. So on April 1st, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be rolling out individual feeds for each of our series, but we'll still maintain a network feed. Now, here's what you need to know. We're going to have a new feed for the network. This feed, if you subscribe to it, is going to continue, but it's going to just be the CRM Audio podcasts. And so you just need to know that. We'll have more news for you later this week about that and the links for where you need to sign up. So on with the daily update. So there's a few things that you need to know that have come out over the last couple days. First is Microsoft is updating campaign management and quick campaigns. This is pretty exciting because I always felt quick campaigns was a fairly useful feature. It's the only really way to quickly generate a series of activities, say phone calls to a list of people. Just kind of a lot of people, when they talk about campaigns, they just want to do a blast. And so if I just want to have an email go out to 50 of my customers, I can do that. And that feature has kind of been long in the tooth, we might say. They haven't really touched it for a while. I know with Dynamics Marketing coming out, Dynamics 365 for Marketing, but it's good to see that the core quick campaign and marketing list features are being addressed. First off, they are making some updates to fix some issues with the marketing list form. If you used marketing list in Unified Interface, you may have seen some of the grids don't populate right. They're fixing that. The other thing is, right now, the marketing list is what they call the hybrid situation, where they've got certain classic UI stuff popping up inside of the Unified Interface. They're going to have a new Unified Interface form, and that form is going to give you some new capabilities, especially in the quick campaign area. You're going to be able to have a new form that has subgrids on the quick campaign form that will now correctly open members and show failures. So the new form is going to be the default form, and there's going to be an audience tab that makes it really easy to find members, excluded members, and failed deliveries for campaign activities and quick campaigns. So this is really exciting to see, and something, if you haven't touched quick campaign for a while, maybe because of some of the limitations, you might want to revisit that, because it looks like it's coming along quite nicely. So the second thing is Power Apps is now available in the government cloud. So if you are a government customer or a partner that works with government and government contractors, and you've wanted to use Power Apps, the good news, now you can. It's now generally available. And so what you need to know is there are some limitations. And those limitations are embedding in SharePoint Online and Microsoft Teams does not work yet. You can not create Power Apps from SharePoint lists yet. Some other things, the Common Data Service analytics aren't there, the mobile push notifications, the Power Platform Admin Center is there, but it's only basically for opening support tickets. Some of the other functionality that non-government customers have is not yet available in the government cloud. And then some of the connectors. It says that most of the common connectors are there, but there are some that may not be there. It says if you have some that aren't showing up or aren't available in the government cloud, call support and they will evaluate that for you to see if it can be released. Next thing is display names and GUIDs for Canvas apps graduate. So what you may not know is up till now, there's been a toggle, basically a switch where you can say use the logical name like the schema name for objects or use the display name. they're now making that where it defaults to the display name. And so in the blog post that they published, they said, we know some people prefer the logical name, and they may consider adding that back. They're trying to keep it so there's not a million different toggles, which I think is smart. For the rest of us mere mortals, I think working with the logical name is nice. I've noticed that showing up more and more, and so that makes it easier, especially when you train people that aren't developers or people with database experience. It says if you have one that you've already on the preview feature, if you've toggled that off, so it's still using the logical names, that app will continue to use it, but at some point it will be forced to go to the new display name rather than the logical name. So I was reading the notes from the latest service update, and service updates, if you don't know, are published weekly. So aside from like the April and October releases, every week we get service updates, and these service updates are generally bug fixes. So once in a while they will introduce some new stuff, but for the most part, they are service updates. And there's a ton of stuff in the latest one. And some of these are issues that I've seen. Some of them are issues I didn't even know people were having. One of the ones that kind of made me chuckle a little bit was contact sync from Outlook to CRM contained the wrong birthdays and anniversaries. If any of you have had this issue, please add a comment or send me a note and tell me the story. I would love to hear kind of what happened. Did you call somebody and say, happy birthday to you? And they said, it's not my birthday today. So now I can see where that would embarrass people. So just picking out a few other ones that jumped out at me as pretty significant things. One is when selecting the Convert To button in the command bar, the first last name fields did not populate in the Convert To Lead dialog box. So I guess you were getting leads with no names. The Export Excel button was unavailable for opportunity products. So this is a good one. I've had cases where we wanted to export opportunity products to Excel. It's great that we can do that now. Instead of failing with a network error message, network calls were generated endlessly when a user navigated to a bound dashboard in Unified Client containing a tile that used a view with fetch XML that was over 55,000 characters long. I didn't experience that myself. The pop-up button disappeared when the user navigated to a new form using custom JavaScript resources. And I did see this next one. Users could not tab through date time fields. It would just kind of stop and pull up the date time control. Well, good news, you can tab through them now. So tab on. Some fields, labels like status reason, were still displayed in English when different language was selected. I can see where that would cause confusion, especially if your users did not read or understand English. Opportunities could be closed without entering values in the required fields. That's a good one too, that they fixed that. The save icon did not function in records containing a scripted field. Didn't see that one, but it's good they fixed that. Email addresses and phone numbers could not be copied in the quick view form when using Chrome. So good news, you use Chrome, you can copy those phone numbers and email addresses from the quick view form. Let's see a couple others. The timeline failed to load if the email recipient were unresolved. I saw this at a client recently, and it really caused some angst because what would happen is when it was generating the timeline, the activity timeline, all of a sudden it would stop and give you an error message, and you couldn't see any of the activities. So we had, as a workaround, they had to navigate to the related records and go to the activities. But I'm really glad to see that is fixed. So that's just a few of them that were fixed. So check that out. If you want to see this list, it's again every week they come out with a new list and new items that are fixed. And while we have seen some issues, the good news is they're fairly quick at turning them around these days. So that's great to see. And then the final thing, and this is something that will impact you if you're using a trial, they have changed the cadence of when they do the maintenance, of when they apply these weekly updates to the weekends now, so it doesn't interfere with normal business operations. They don't want to have it happen during business hours and disrupt your users. So good news, if you are using a trial, I think what this is doing is putting the trials in the same cadence as the paid environments. So whether you have a paid environment or whether you have a trial, it all happens on the weekends and hopefully won't disrupt your users. Now, if you have people working over the weekend, that's a different story, but it's hard to find a time if you're running 24/7. So that's what you need to know today, and you're up to date.